All right, peace, y'all. I know I've been gone for a minute. You know what I mean? I've been gone for a minute, and I've been wanting to get back to making some videos. I did a few lives. I wanted to do this live because I just finished. I was on Oshay's channel watching this dude. I forget his name, but the title of the video was "Black Americans Stop Trying to Be African." Okay, and it was ridiculous because the points this dude is making, because he's basically going against Amin Ra, who's his whole argument is everybody needs to come to Africa, leave America and come to Africa because there's nothing here for you, right? That's basically his point, right? And he does this whole thing, but his arguments, I'm gonna go down a list of some of his arguments because they're all ridiculous arguments. Okay, so he says some things that are true, okay, and we're gonna get to that, right? He says a couple things I agree with. We're gonna get to that. But the whole premise, basically the first 40 or so minutes, okay, these are my problems. First of all, he spends like 20 minutes telling us how he lives in Africa and all these people in Africa wanna come to America. He said, oh, well, yeah, I was there. Everybody wants to come there and everybody wants to come to America and this and this and that, right? Now, I'll give him this. True point. I experienced the same thing in the Caribbean, not just necessarily because I've been there a few times, but just when you interact with a lot of people, other than people who are kind of like older, set in their ways or comfortable, most people are going to want to come to the West. You know what I mean? In most places. But in the end of the day, we know why that is. Their countries are poor, they're in destitute situations. They don't understand the political context within they live, right? You said yourself in the video, you said that they don't understand Black American history. They don't understand slavery. They don't understand anything that happened. So they don't know, even you, like you conveniently omitted the fact that Black American people have been right here, this ADOS, whatever you want to call it, have been right here in this country doing everything that you said for centuries already, bro. We've been doing that for centuries already. We Black people, there's nothing that we have not done. And we've been in the exact same position that every last one of these immigrant groups wanting the same exact things. We've been in the same exact position. We've been saying, listen, we want to be a part of the society, please, here. We ain't asking for nothing, just give us an opportunity and let us do this. We do these things, we start to build, and they burn our shit down. They let the KKK loose on us, right? They write the black codes. They discriminate. We say, hey, look, okay, well, let us integrate into society. They still racially oppress us. They warehouse us systematically through government into the ghettos. They deny us rights for that we are owed since us fighting in the Revolutionary War to us fighting in the rest of these wars and being denied GI bills and being warehoused into certain communities. This is all government, and this can all be proven. This is all proven racism. I'm not getting into it right now. I'm saying historically proven racism from the government on us. Okay, lack of protection, discrimination. We went through all of these things in century after century, and it continues, right? Or I'll just give it to you. Let's say it's not continuing, but we can't deny history. Okay, so we went through all of these things. Everything that these immigrant group thinks they're coming here to do, we've done it already, right? And then you're gonna sit up here and talk about people who don't understand that. We understand that. So when we say, look, you're putting too much faith in this nation because the people who run this nation, the white people, because this is a white country, Mr. Black American, okay, we're gonna get to that. This is a white country, whether you wanna admit it or not. Okay, but the people who run this nation, you talked about how they're never gonna allow you to be, they're never gonna allow you to become a true person in the tribe in these African nations. Maybe not. Okay, I don't know. That's one of those things. I'll cede that point to you because I haven't been there to see that for myself. I'll give you that. But my children will. Their children will. When we talking about America, you will never, ever be a part of that. Your children won't, your children, unless you breed with a white person and have your kids breed with a white person until they look so white that they don't know anymore. And then maybe they come up with the idea for their modern time Facebook or something like that, and they have a chance to go into the elite when their whole entire family looks white, then maybe they'll do that. But so if I had half a chance in Africa, right? And let's say it's not me again. Maybe it ain't me. I'm 31. My children will have that opportunity to do that because they'll be a part of it. You know, they'll be just like everybody else. So my children will have a chance. So I'd rather have my children have a chance than stay in America where I have absolutely no chance to ever be in the elite. And most white people don't even have a chance to be in the elite, right? So I'm kind of going all over the place, you know what I mean? So I had a list of points that I wanted to get to. But basically the first point that I was supposed to be making is that people looking at people who do not understand history, in your own words, you said they don't know our history, right? Most of us don't even put our own history into the proper context. And that was another point. You can't look at the average layman who does not understand our history and contextualize it, and we don't have the infrastructure of leadership to where we can disseminate this information to mass groups of people, because we don't run this country. White people do, all right? But we don't have that infrastructure in place. So you take this this political and just basically infrastructural inconvenience that has been imposed on us historically by the way of your beautiful country, your greatest country that you love so much. America has imposed this on us, and other European nations have imposed this on Africans. You take that and then you use that as a point to say, look, you shouldn't want to do that because these people want to be over here. Okay? Now we're going to address them wanting to come over here. They shouldn't want to come over here. Why would you want to come over here when you have all the reasons? According to you, I'm going off of what you said. You have all the resources in your country right over there, and you want to bring your ass over here. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not an idiot. I understand why, like again, I'm going to be in Haiti next month. I've been talking to a lot of Haitians. A lot of them, they just want to get the hell out of there because as far as they're concerned, it just seems hopeless. It seems hopeless. And when you look at the way America is structured, they know if they come here, and I agree, if you come over here, and those of us that are here right now, you'll have the opportunity to add a better life. You have that opportunity. I mean, it's certain things, because I'm seriously considering going back to Africa, so I've been doing some real research. I've been talking to people abroad. I've been studying his country's histories. I've been observing the different ways that societies move. I've been listening to people and their struggles and trying to do things, just looking at different laws and different things. And I got to hand it to you. You got to give it up that there is a lot of positive things in America as far as an individual that wants to make themselves a better life, right? So yeah, absolutely. These people are going to look as individuals, and they're going to see that, and they're going to say, look, yes, I want to do that, or I want to go to there, right? But why would you want to? You're wrong to want to leave to come here for two reasons, right? For one, you can come here, right, as an individual, and maybe you can get something done. Maybe you'll be able to do that as an individual. But like I just mentioned Haiti, it's about 8 million people there in Haiti. You mentioned Ghana. Ghana is, don't quote me, somewhere around 35 or so million people in Ghana. When you mentioned Nigerians, there's about 200 million Nigerians. You know what I mean? And we're going to come back to that number a little bit later. So if you're looking at how many Nigerians there are and how many of any of these places that there are, they can't displace their entire population. So when you're in any country and the collective consciousness of that group of people is we want to leave and go somewhere else, which I think is the case for a lot of black nations. We want to leave and go to the West. They have a problem, not me. I don't have the problem for saying I want to go where the resources are and where I have a chance of actually working with that group of people to gain control of the land, okay, and to gain true sovereignty instead of being under some people who have showed us over centuries that they're not going to allow us to be a part of this process. Why would I not go to where the resources actually are and have the opportunity to really be a part of that? That makes a lot more sense. You can't because they don't know any better. You don't use somebody that don't know no better as a point against me. That makes no sense. Okay, I know better. That's my point of saying, listen, even though it may be some resistance in that path, it's the better path that makes more sense in the long run. Okay, so, don't use the fact that people are ignorant due to the way the West has set things up. Okay, historically, due to historical reasons, they are ignorant. So you're using that as a point, okay? So yeah, you don't want to run away, or people you could run away, okay? But you lack the understanding of the political context, and you lack, I mean, like allegiance to your people, your home nation. Really, you want to run away to become an American, you know? All right, so yeah, so you talk about the immigrants. Okay, yeah, so I covered that. They can't really come here in great enough numbers. So you talk about, people kill me with this was another thing too. Because you start in the beginning, you were singing immigrants' high praises. You were talking about how, yeah, you want to leave, and these immigrants coming over here making millions of dollars, and they making all this money, and they doing this and this and this. And I'm listening like, right? But then you turned around at the, I got to where, hold on, I don't know where I'm at. Okay, I closed the video. But I got to like at least like an hour and a half or something like that. You got later in the video, then you said, well, you can't compare them to us coming over here because they have an educated population that 60% of them come over here. I think the poll was Nigerians. I don't know if it was Nigerians or all Africans, but they come here already having prior education, right? 60% of the time when they immigrate here. And when they immigrate here, they'll outperform a native population, which, you know, we're probably somewhere in the high 20% or hovering around 30% of us have an education. Then you give a more educated population, which to even get a B1 or B2 visa and all these visas, you have to have already proven some type of relevance that you will have to this current economy. Okay, this is not something that is predetermined to us as citizens. You don't have to have that. You can just be a loser here, like most of them, their native people are where they are. Okay, so you made this point at the end. Okay, so I'm gonna give you that, because in the beginning you were sounding you wasn't making no sense. Because in the beginning you're like, oh well, they're over here, they're taking over while you want to leave. I'm like, first of all, again, there's no significant amount of them is going to be able to come over here. So they can come over here. If they're not good in Nigeria, Nigerians are not going to arise based on what they do for the amount of them running over here while their native country is in shambles. They're never going to rise from that, right? People sending remittances and just sending a little money to their family saying, oh, well, I'm helping. Like I heard some dude the other day, he was like, yeah, well, my uncle has a business and I'm able to send money to support his business. I'm like, bro, if he needs to be subsidized by your money that you're making in America, if his business needs to be subsidized in order to stay afloat, that's a bad business. You know what I mean? So in the end of the day, over time, it's not going to do any good. All right. So basically, that was the point I wanted to make too, is just don't tell me about it. Like people want to tell me about this, they want to show me a story of a few Nigerians that's doing well. Yeah, we got this Nigerian and that Nigerian and that Nigerian. People don't understand, and I mentioned this earlier. It is 200 million fucking Nigerians. 200 million. It's maybe around 50 million of us, right? Or some say 40 million. There's 200 million Nigerians. Right, so they got damn near 4 times the amount of people that they have, and then out of that they have to get approved to even come over here, which means you have to have relevance to the economy, or be in some type of schooling that's relevant to the economy. So you have a pre-selected group out of 200 million, and then a few of them come over here and do well, and everybody wants to act like that's like, you know, some big thing. You don't understand how many Nigerians exist, you know? And we also not taking into account that there's a lot of problems with Nigeria. Okay, Nigerians have a horrible reputation worldwide. Okay, a lot of their own people would say that it's a failed state. Corruption is just off the charts, you know? So there's a lot of issues in Nigeria. There's a lot of positive in Nigeria too. And I'm considering moving to Nigeria. So I don't want to come down on Nigerians. But my point is, as you stated, and I'm going to state again because I don't want to hear anybody using that argument, just because there's some people here that may be doing well, or they may be foolish enough to think that this is some type of plan for their people. You individually, as a selling out your people, okay, yeah, I give you that. If you just want to sell out your people, you're only an individual, then yeah, go ahead and come to America. But if you're trying to say it's a plan for your people to do better or pass our people, that's not going to happen unless you do it over there. All right? Let me see what else I have. Right. So then America. So again, so you brought up some points, and I'm going a little out of order, but it sparked me. You brought up some points talking about how the native population here, we need to do, it needs to be you scratch my back, I scratch my back, or like Chris Tucker said, same time. So basically, if we have to, they need to do it first, right, before we do it. So I think the example you gave is if I can't go, if I have to, and you said in the video, you said that you needed to pay $500,000 in Ghana to start a business. That's not what I've heard. I've heard that you have to have $500 million or $500,000 of capital available, okay, in order to start a business. So you have to have that capital available to even be able to start a business. So it's basically trying to attract like corporations and things of that nature. Not necessarily that you got to cash them out $500,000 and then start your business. So I think you misspoke. From the sound of things, I'm pretty sure you know that. So I think that was a misspoke. I'm gonna give you that. But just for the record. So you're saying if you have to do that over there, then they should have to do the same thing when they come over here. But it's only one problem with that. It's only one problem with that. And this is one thing that all you ADOS, all you people that want to talk all this trash about the Africans and you Africans this and we gonna stop doing this. Y'all ain't letting us do it, so we ain't gonna do it. There's only one problem with that. You don't run this fucking country. Period. You don't run this country. And people always talk about how the Africans that don't mess with it. Again, I have a whole video on that. It's a lot of Africans that don't mess with us. And I think a lot of the ones that come here don't fuck with us. You know why? Because they don't have to. When you go to Ghana, that's Ghanaians putting that policy in place, right? Now, you know, it's a lot of Western influence in that. And, you know, that's a whole nother topic. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these black nations I've come to discover are not independent. Okay, they are not independent. But whatever the case, these, on the surface level at least, these are Ghanaians telling you you need 500,000 in order to do this. That's not that's not necessarily white folks like it is here. So you might want to say, all right, well, they ain't letting us do this over here, so this is what we about to do over here. And you gonna run your ass over to them white folks, whatever, I don't care, or their representatives, you know, whoever's representing, whatever the senator, the House of Representatives, the president, you're gonna run your ass over there and say, hey, we want these regulations put in place for Africans, and you ain't gonna get shit done because you don't run this country. They run this country. So when Africans bring their asses over here, and any immigrant group, period, they don't run over here and come to you. You know, they come to you, I don't know, maybe they don't really come to you, you know what I mean? Because you ain't got no juice like that. So they come over here and they run to the government and they deal with that white-owned government and white ran or backed, you know, if nothing else, the dollars. First of all, it's ran mostly by white males, and then all the dollars that elect everyone else is centered mostly in white male corporations, which are the basis of the political system in this country. So you don't have the juice for them to even sit down and bargain with you. Like you could sit and talk all that hot shit on a video, but in the end of the day, that means nothing. When those Africans bring their asses over here, they not looking for no nigga with no black American shirt or whatever, hats and shit that you trying to push. They ain't give a fuck about that. You ain't got no juice. You don't hand out no B1 visas. You don't got shit to do with how they get a visa. So you know what they do? They come over here, like who got the juice, who I need to listen to? Okay, boom, white dude here, white dude there. You said don't fuck with them black people over there? It's done. What else you want? I want to be in I'm trying to get in your country. You're letting me in. I'm going to submit to what you want. And that list of things that they submit to, they have not shit to do with no black American, no ADOS, or your black ass, nothing. So you can talk that hot shit all you want. In the end of the day, you don't run this country. Okay? You've been here all this time. You don't run this country. And that's just what it is. You don't have the power to talk the kind of shit that you're talking. So they don't have to listen to you. People out there don't fuck with you. Why? They don't need to. They're not here for you. They're here to do their own personal stuff, just like it sounds like your ideology is to do. Because you're talking about all these personal issues. See, listen, my hopes to go to the continent, right? The reason this idea circles in my mind is because I have an overall Pan-African African liberation goal and worldview. I'm not looking at things as far as just like to be an individual. Individually right now, if I didn't care about none of that stuff, I'm doing fine. I'm making, well, I ain't gonna talk about what I'm making. I'll say I'm doing fine as far as I have a level of comfort that's higher than a lot of Americans, period, regardless of color. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them, not, I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but most Americans are working poor. And I'm working class too, but I'm just saying I'm at a level of comfort that's higher than a lot of people, and I could just continue down that road, forget everything, and not have any of these dilemmas. But if you're just looking at it individually, then I could see how you say you don't go over there. And if you're looking at it individually, you would have to understand that the immigrant that's coming here for basically saying fuck my country and whatever problems exist there. I just want to come over here and come up and do better over here, right? So if that's how you're thinking, that's how they're thinking, you got to understand they're going to go to the people who are in charge, right? And that's them white people. That ain't your black ass. I think I kind of talked about it already. You talked about how they'll never accept you, but they may accept my kids. America has never accepted you, and you've been at it for centuries over here. You ain't been at it. You haven't put no effort into getting all the problems that you mentioned, the things you can't get in Africa. No effort has been put into that, No real effort has been put into that. So you can't compare centuries of us fighting dogs and blood and shedding everything. Blood, sweat, and tears for centuries and centuries at facing rejection after rejection, and all the efforts that we made in America. We made some strides, right? But we are second-class citizens. There's no way around that. You cannot say you put anything near that type of effort to do something on the continent. And when you go to the continent, you're not going hat in hand. That's another thing. But that may be another video. So is immigrants in out? Oh yeah, then there's just a quick side note. You say that when we go to, I can't swagger jack, in your words, right? I can't swagger jack my own heritage. I can't swagger jack my heritage, bro. This dude, he said our roots are in the South. Come on, bro. Our roots are in Africa. It's no way around that. Everyone knows it. You know that. That's why you took your ass over there. Probably was part of the reason. I see you change your tune now. I get it. But everybody knows our roots are in Africa. I can't swagger jack my own roots. And also, if anything, the whole world, as you mentioned, it takes our style. You know what I mean? So anything we do with another group of people, especially Africans, continental Africans, because we Africans too, is, if anything, it would be like a cultural exchange. But I can't swagger jack my own culture, bro. That makes no sense. I just wanted to speak on that, because and another thing too, because you got to it later, and I didn't expect you to go to this point. I'm gonna go to something I agree with you on. We do have you need to have pride in your African American, for lack of a better word, heritage. I have a lot of pride in what we've done here, and if you look at what we've done, we've made a big impact on the world, and compared to where we've gone to. So if a person goes to Africa and they say that they're lost, I think that's an accurate statement. I think we are lost. We actually did leave. You cannot trace your lineage back that far. There's people in Kenya or Ghana or whatever that, and everywhere, not just Africa. It's like I could go outside and talk to a white dude right now, and he could tell you which village his great-great-grandfather is from. This is just regular for everybody. We cannot do that. So if a person goes back and they say that I'm lost, that's an accurate statement, because you don't know where you came from, right? But for a person to say to go over there and just basically spit on their ancestors in America's grave like they've just been garbage since they left and we've done nothing, I don't agree with that. I have a lot of pride in what we've done here, and why would we go over there and act as if we're nothing to a bunch of people who look up to us? Not just Africans, but all kind of folks. You know what I mean? So definitely I agree with you on, you do have to have pride in who you are. And you said one time, you're a tribe. I agree with that. We are a tribe, and I'm very proud of my tribe. But and as a tribe, we're just as African as they are over there, okay? Our heritage is African heritage, because you can't take the African piece out. If you study, like you said culture, but all you really were talking about was music, music, music. To you know, music is an aspect of culture, but all you were really talking about was music and, you know, kind of just like the arts. That's all you were talking about. And if you're going to talk about the arts, you can't talk about African American history and not talk about the fact it was our African heritage, our continental African heritage that came into collision with our newfound situation and on this continent. So we fused that with everything that we did. We fused that with our church looks totally different than their church, and then hence our gospel music looks totally different than that. And then we get this whole gospel genre, we get this R&B genre, we get instruments that we didn't have over there. We make them look like the instruments and did different things and played in a different way because of our African heritage. So if you want to talk about our music, if you study you study the history, okay, of our music, it's African influence, and there's no way around that. So the African American, I know this thing is taking forever, but I might as well, I'm almost done now. But you have to look at our entire history, right? You have to take our entire history into account. And if you're gonna pump music as much as you did, you have to give consideration to the fact that the African aspect, our African heritage, is what made our music this way. Okay, so you can't take that out. And I don't care how long we've been in America. We are just as African as anybody else. We are African culture just like the rest of them. Period. I don't care what they have to say. I don't care what you have to say. You can't tell me just because you're on the continent, I'm less African than you. You can't tell me that. I don't care. I don't care if the person's even mixed. They're still just we're an African culture just like the rest of them. Because it's a lot of Africans on the continent. You go to some of them northern places, or even some of these people that's too heavily influenced by Islam, and they look a little different. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm questioning how African they are if we're playing that game, right? I'm not really questioning, but I'm saying by that logic you'd have to question it. So just being on the continent does not mean you're more African. You know what I mean? Because like if you look at the Sahara, right, which the Sahara means desert. That big part that you in the top of Africa, that big desert, right? That used to be filled with people, right? That had to move out of that space, right? In different directions. They had to move out of that space and live somewhere else. So that same thing could happen to Nigeria. Could be wiped out in some time in the future for some type of natural disaster or change, or it could go, turn into arid land. So are you now not African because you had to migrate out of that area? You see what I mean? Where you are does not change who you are, the seed of who you are, the blood, and then take away your heritage. All right. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up. Oh, last point. So you talked about throughout the end, when we got to the end, you talked about how these people look up, the continental Africans, they looking up to us, they bumping our music, they look up to our culture. But really, again, you just talk music because, culture will be another video. This one's too long. You just talk music. They look up to us, they look up to whatever, and, and other things they look up to as far as our political movement. Oh, you did mention that. You mentioned like our political movements, our ideas, and some of the things, the fighters, the freedom fighters. They look up to us, right? But then you turn around and you talk about how, well, if they not doing it, we ain't gonna do it. No, we're the leaders, right? We're the leaders. We've always been the leaders. And I take pride in the leadership and how all the other African tribes around the world have looked up to us and looked toward what we thought was ideal. So I'm standing on the history of my ancestors here in this country. I mean, dating all the way back to the Harlem Renaissance and the Black Consciousness Movement, which I'm still a part of. You know what I mean? I got my RBG flag, it's over there, but I'm still a part of it, and I'm standing on their shoulders and continuing that journey. And just because there's a lot of people in their population who are largely illiterate, and even those who are literate are ignorant to the history and ignorant to the entire movement that many of us growing up are ignorant to, and many of us here are ignorant to. Just because they're ignorant of this, it doesn't mean I'm gonna follow their lead and wait for them to do something because they don't know any better. I'm not waiting for them to do something because they don't know any better. I'm gonna take the same leadership that has them wanting to, if we can make them want to fucking dance to nigga music all day, because that's another thing. You taking a little too much pride in some of this culture these people is following, some aspects of it. You know what I mean? And I don't want to knock us down or whatever, but I'm just saying, it's a lot of ignorant ass shit that they liking too. It's a lot of ignorant shit that these people like, but if we can lead them on that and make them change their tune on that, why can't I come back as a Pan-Africanist, right? With with all my ancestors standing behind me and all the experiences I have from the Black Harlem Renaissance all the way to now, right? And even further back than that, the original Pan-African movement, Martin Delaney, everything. Right? I could go back with all of that and my brothers and sisters on the continent. Everybody has been a part of that struggle. Why can't I come back with that and make them follow that? We are the leaders. We're not sitting back waiting for them to do something for them to do that. That makes no sense. If you truly took pride in that, then you would have no problem with us doing that, right? And this is the last thing I'm gonna say, and it should have been the first thing I'm gonna say. In the end of the day, it comes down to what people's goals, and I know I mentioned this. What are your goals? You know, if you're just a rugged individualist and that's how you feel, then okay, I understand that. But when you're trying to tell us, and you're talking about brothers like Amin Ra, who you know is coming from a Black consciousness background, to stop trying to be African, I don't need to try to be African. I'm already African. You know what I mean? Now, when we are using these Pan-African philosophies and we talk of going back there, okay, don't use a bunch of ignorant talking points and spend 40 minutes explaining to me how American infrastructure and business is better, in a better position. The most wealthy nation reigning for decades in the world is in a better position than Ghana, and somehow this is a reason why you shouldn't go. It's like, bro, we knew that. We already knew that. You didn't have to sit and tell us that, right? But that has nothing to do with the fact that most of the things that you want to do here are futile, and most of the things these African immigrants want to do here, unless they're just individualists, that most things they want to do here are going to be futile. You know what I mean? For the most part, and we understand that because we've been doing this for decades, and centuries already, right? So that's going to be the end of my video. I know I ain't done one in a minute. If you made it this far, man, shout out to you. Eventually, I'm going to start to do some more videos and get back on doing these videos. I got a bunch of lives I did on Facebook that I haven't put over here. And I know, you know, it's going to probably be a few people to watch this, but just shout out to everybody that watched it. If y'all want to hear me talk about anything else, let me know. And then I might do, I don't know, shit, somebody let me know. I'm going to be in Haiti next week. I might do something. Let me know if y'all want to see something, or I don't know. Maybe I'll film, maybe I'll do a vlog. I kind of like to just go and chill, you know what I mean? Like last time I went to Jamaica, I didn't even take my camera, you know what I mean? I didn't even take it because it'd be seeming like a lot. But if y'all want to see something, man, just let me know. Yeah, other than that, peace.